Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Minnesota Wild as they made a pretty big splash here early on in 2023 as they signed Matt Boldy, one of their younger players here. They decided not to go the bridge contract route. They decided to go big time money, big time term on Matt Boldy, a 7-year, $49 million contract that will pay him $7 million per season. We're going to take a look at what Matt Boldy provides here to the Minnesota Wild, the future of the Minnesota Wild after this kind of move. We're going to take a look at all of that today. So Matt Boldy has played in 89 NHL games. He's a very young player. This is his second season with the Minnesota Wild. He has 29 points in 42 games with the Wild this season and is on pace for a pretty good total this year. Overall, in his career, his time on ice, he's playing a little over 16 minutes of ice time per night. And I think this is one of those guys that the Minnesota Wild looked to invest in long term. And this kind of tells you the reason why they didn't sign Kevin Fiala last year. They were looking to invest in Matt Boldy, and I think Bill Guerin's plan is kind of coming to fruition the way we expected it to. A lot of people were upset with Fiala leaving last year and this and that, and obviously, that does make sense, but they did have younger players in the system, like a Matthew Boldy, who was just waiting for his opportunity. He's been playing for the Iowa Wild, and he's developed, and this is a great pickup for the Minnesota Wild. He's a guy from Milford. I don't know where that is, but he was drafted 12th overall back in 2019 by the Minnesota Wild, playing at Boston College, so he's probably from Boston. If I had to guess, Milford sounds like somewhere in the Northeast. So he's one of these guys that I think that the Minnesota Wild were banking on becoming a top 6 scoring winger. And he's done that. And that's, Bill Guerin has paid him handsomely. Now, the other route they could have gone was the bridge deal. The bridge, 3-year deal that maybe it's less money, but the problem with that is in 3 years from now, they're going to be spending a lot of money on him. And I think that Bill Guerin sees the potential upside here with Matt Boldy and has said, listen, let's just get this done. We have the cap space. Let's just find a way to make it work so we're not paying him $9 million per season in 4 years from now in 2030. So when you really look at it in that sense, if you're the Minnesota Wild, this was a great pickup. Yeah, it sucks on the back end. On the front end, it might be very expensive. But, we could be looking at this deal maybe not even that, 6 or 7 years from now, potentially even 3 or 4 years from now, saying, man, the Minnesota Wild, that was a good pickup. And you got to remember, as the salary cap is going to go up in the next 2 or 3 years, that's going to help out a lot. The Wild are in a spot right now where the money is going to be an issue, especially with, how things are with the Parise and Suter buyouts. It's going to be tough sledding for this team, and it's going to cost them probably Kevin Fiala last year, probably Matt Dumba this year, even though I think most Wild fans have checked out on Matt Dumba. It's one of those things where, you either leave gracefully because you've been there for a short time and everyone remembers all the good times, or you stay long enough where you kind of you've overstayed your welcome, is really the best way to put it. And I think that's kind of been the case for Matt Dumba, which is a shame. He's been with that organization for a very long time. I can't really imagine him playing anywhere else, but more likely than not, he will end up playing somewhere else here. Whether it's before the trade deadline or over the summer, I think Matt Dumba's days in Minnesota are numbered. And I hate to say it, this deal kind of puts the nail in the coffin for that. Because I think right now, if you look at their cap space, Minnesota is now in a spot where they've kind of invested into their core here. This is their core team. This is what they want to go with. You look at the money that they have for this summer continues to go down by the day. They have a little over $3.5 million of cap space this summer, which definitely will not be enough for Matt Dumba. So that's kind of the state of things, and they aren't even done. They have some contracts coming off. Brandon Duhaime is going to see an extent, if he does end up staying in Minnesota, he's going to see a pay raise. Same thing for Sam Steele and Kalen Addison. That's also kind of a concern, as well as Philip Gustafson. So there are some pretty big contracts for the Minnesota Wild here. The good news is they do have Jesper Wallstedt, who could be coming up very soon. They have Carson Lambos, Simon Johansson. They have some good prospects. Don't forget, they still have Marco Rossi, who's playing in the AHL and still kind of developing. Damien Giroux, for whatever that's worth. There are guys on this team that still have a lot of potential. Adam Beckman, have we seen the most out of him yet? Probably not. Liam Ogren. These are good early round draft picks of the Minnesota Wild. And Bill Guerin, for everybody saying how, this team really turned it around quick and could that end up being a problem for them? No, Bill Guerin continued to be very conservative with what assets he was willing to give up, and he's reaping the rewards for that patience. And I think that right now, a guy like Matt Boldy is a perfect example of that. I remember last year we were hearing rumors that maybe Matt Boldy was very close to getting traded. Look how good of a move that is today. Just a year later, Matt Boldy, the patience of letting him develop, waiting that little bit of extra time, and the Minnesota Wild are paying handsomely for it. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of the Minnesota Wild signing Matt Boldy? Do you like the deal? Do you think it was a little too soon? Should they waited to see what happens here with Kalen Addison? Is Kalen Addison more of a priority? Philip Gustafson, you'd like to see him as a backup, right? As Jesper Wallstedt comes up. I don't know what's going to happen with Fleury. I think there's a little bit more stability in Gustafson, but again, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and let's go Wild.